I think far too often we pick ourselves apart. We look at all the things that we think are wrong, and we don't take enough time to be grateful for the fact that we're here, number one, but being thankful for all kinds of things about ourselves, our personalities, our silly senses of humor, our ability to do math or not, our ability to speak or not. But just being grateful. I think when you're grateful, I think that is really at the root of assigning value.
Welcome to another episode of The Irreplaceable Dental Assistant. And as usual, I have a treat for you. Today, my guest is Tiffany Santana. Welcome, Tiffany. How are you doing today?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's our pleasure. So, Tiffany, I know a little bit about you. We are mentored by the same person. We've been through a few courses together, but share with the world, my listeners, who you are and what you bring to the table.
So I am Tiffany Santana. I am a certified confidence for purpose coach and speaker. And I'm also the executive director of a nonprofit that provides intervention for women and children escaping domestic violence. My passion is making sure that people are well and that they're whole and that they're able to walk out their purpose. And I have been excited to be able to go on this journey of helping people to unleash their confidence so that they can chase after their divine purpose.
Well, isn't that what this world is about? Seeing what we can do to help our sister or brother along their journey? Because there was somebody who helped us along our way as well, right? Or a couple of folks.
Absolutely.
So, Tiffany, let me ask you a question. When we use the term value, particularly self-value, what does that mean?
So value means merit, worth, or importance. And so when we're talking about self-value, that means the merit, the worth, or the importance that you assign to yourself. And fortunately or unfortunately, our self-value is very often, probably far too often, influenced by other people. Whether it's good and you have people around you who are influential, who affirm you, who tell you you're great, who compliment you, or just the opposite, you have people around you who are demeaning and negative and insulting, that can impact your self-value. So the key really is to make sure that you look at your traits and your qualities and the kindness that you put out into the world and the things that you do for other people, and you assign a merit, a worth, or an importance to that. And then once you've assigned that value to yourself, then you have to build an impenetrable fortress around that so that even the good things that people say about you or the bad things that people say about you don't affect the value that you've assigned to yourself. So value is merit, it is worth, and it is importance, and it's what you see in yourself.
Wow, I love that answer. I think it's the most complete response to a question about self-value that I've ever heard. So thank you for that, Tiffany. Listen, how can team members effectively communicate and express their value to their colleagues, fostering a more positive and supportive work environment?
I love this question because one of the things that I really love is communication. It's just something that I've been gifted to do and trained to do. I love talking. I love listening. I love everything about communication. And so I like zeroing in on the word communicate because I think very often when we think about communication, we think about verbal communication. And I think when you're trying to communicate your value to your team or to anyone, it takes more than just saying it. So I have an acronym that I came up with that will help you to convey your value to your teammates. And the acronym is OLD, O-L-D. So the first thing you have to do is observe your environment. and look at the places in your work environment where there are holes that could be filled, where there are problems that can be solved, where there is a lack of joy or a lack of peace, or where there needs to be some reconciliation in places. And once you've observed your environment, take a mental note of how those holes that need to be filled line up with your gifts, your talents, your abilities, and your desires, your passions. So that's the O, observe your environment. The L is listen. Listen to your teammates. What are they complaining about? What are they celebrating? What are they saying are their difficulties or their struggles? What are they saying they feel like at certain parts of the day? And when you listen to your teammates, again, line up what they're saying with your talents, your gifts, your abilities, and begin to think about ways that you can fill those holes. And so after you've observed and you've listened, the D in old is do. Take action. Look at places where you can provide value. Look at places where you can fill those holes, where you can make sure that you solve problems. And when you do that, you never have to say that you're valuable to the team. They will know it because you have done the things necessary to create an atmosphere that is conducive to a positive, happy work environment. And I'm going to give you a really brief example about that. I was a school teacher for 10 years, and we had a teacher. We had teachers' lounges and teachers' bathrooms. And in a school building, the bathrooms are very sterile. They're very white and bland. And we had a teacher who would decorate our bathroom. It sounds really silly and small, but her going in and putting in lotions and smell good things and supplies in the bathroom and soaps and all those things, putting flowers in the bathroom, it helped to change the environment. The bathroom became our little oasis. So it wasn't something that was a professional. She added a lot of professional value, don't get me wrong. But that was a way that she could help to add value to the environment. That was a way that she helped to make our environment a little bit more joyful. So there are lots of ways that if you listen, if you observe, and then take action, you can communicate your value to your teammates through what you do.
Tiffany, whoever knew being old was a thing?
It's a thing. We got to embrace old.
I love that story. She didn't have to change her personality. She didn't have to break the bank. All she had to do is be old and make a difference.
Absolutely.
And I think that there isn't a person listening that could not do that.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that. So let's switch gears a little bit. How can team members overcome self-doubt or imposter syndrome that may hinder them from recognizing and embracing their value within the dental practice?
I love that question because I believe that is something that affects many of us in a lot of different industries. And the number one fertilizer of self-doubt and imposter syndrome is comparison.
Yes.
I think far too often we compare our abilities to others. We compare our experience to others. We compare our journey to others. And one of the things that I like to share with people is this: you are the only you that has ever existed in the history of time. There's no comparison. And so by focusing on what makes us unique, what our specific gifts are, what our specific strengths are, we don't have time then to compare ourselves to others and then measure ourselves to others. One of the things I read in a book some time ago by John Maxwell called The Self-Aware Leader is he said to focus on your strengths, develop your strengths. Don't worry about your weaknesses because someone else has a strength that will handle that weakness. But if you focus on embracing the things that you're great at, embracing the things that you do well, embracing you and loving yourself and being happy about the person you are, I think those are the things that help you to really obliterate imposter syndrome and self-doubt. Just focus on what you do well and focus on serving, making sure that you are bringing to the table the best that you can to your team and to your environment. Those are things that if you continue to do well at them, they'll build your confidence. They will build your worth and your self-worth, and you won't have to worry about doubt and imposter syndrome. You belong where you are. And so you're not an imposter. You're there because you're there on purpose and you have something to contribute.
You know what I love about that? Many times when we hire for skill set, but it's the talents that people have around those skill sets that enhance the team. I remember reading somewhere, and they were making reference to Jewish people. And the point made was, you'll never see a Jewish businessman mowing his lawn, because that's not his strong point. He stays in his zone, and then he has people to supplement the areas where he's not as strong. And I think that is so important for us to embrace at any level. It's also an eye-opener to somebody like me who hires people, because if I don't understand this person who is analytical and just wants to do the numbers, and I put them in a position where they need to be just all that and a bag of chips, and it's not a good fit, we can create an environment where the person is unhappy, I'm not fulfilled, and the patients are not well served. So finding, for us as employers, ensuring that we're seeing the whole picture of the person. It may not happen initially, but as you settle in, you'll be able to see. And also, on the flip side, what you said of we understanding ourselves and what we bring to the table, also important.
Absolutely. And shifting your mindset from competition to collaboration really helps.
Exactly.
Go into your team relationships and knowing that these are the things I bring to the table. So I'm going to complete certain areas that you can't bring that to the table. And that's okay, because you're going to bring some things to the table that complete areas that I don't have. And I think when we shift from competition to collaboration, then we can all see that we all are valuable contributors to our teams. And I think that dissipates some of that imposter syndrome and some of that self-doubt also.
So you're saying stay old and move from competing to collaborating. Oh my goodness, so many gems. I love it. I love it. I love it, Tiffany. So what common misconceptions or barriers prevent dental team members from recognizing and fully utilizing their value, and how can they be overcome?
I think that a lot of the barriers, again, are self-doubt. They are things like competition. They are things like trying to be something that you're not and trying to do something that you don't really do. There's nothing wrong with trying to improve yourself and trying new things. But I think that when we really focus on, again, our strengths and building on our strengths and not being so focused on the things that we're weak at, unless it's going to be something that's, truly detrimental to what you said you could do for your job.
Right.
But if you really focus on making sure that you continuously learn and continuously grow. The more that you master things, the more that you master your area, the more that you grow in your area, continue to research, continue to see what's on the cutting edge. Those types of things, not only do they benefit the team, but they help you to build confidence in yourself. And so I'm always an advocate of being a lifelong learner. It benefits you. It makes positive changes in your brain. It helps the team. And so those are some things I think that can break down barriers. It's just continual self-improvement and continuously thinking about ways to improve the team and benefit the team.
Love that. Love that. Because there is an African saying, I am because we are.
Absolutely.
The more you invest in yourself, the more you will grow as an individual, but the more you lift up the team as you work together in the community. So I love that. Stay learning.
Absolutely.
There's always
100%.
something new to add. And, you know, it's interesting that you should say that, because I have found along my journey that there are things that I have been able to incorporate from other professions that have nothing to do with dentistry, but it helps to enhance the patient experience. For instance, before COVID, we used to do hand massages for our patients and give them a warm neck rack to relax them. Nothing to do with dentistry, but I'm looking at folks in the spa and I'm saying, I could do a little bit of that. So I think if we stay on the grow, it can be a win, win, and win situation. Win for the individual, win for the team, and win for the clients that we serve.
Absolutely. I have a teenager, a 17-year-old, and of course he knows everything about everything, you know, and his mother knows nothing. But one of the things that I tell him all the time is, wherever you are, take something from the environment, learn something, because you never know how this thing that's seemingly unimportant can transfer to something else down the road. And there have been so many instances of my life, because I've done a lot of career changes because I'm restless. But
no, you're on the grow. You're on the grow. You know,
I'm on the grow. That's what it is. That's what it is. But every single thing I've done has served me for the next. Like I said, I currently lead a domestic violence nonprofit. Everything I've ever done up until now has benefited me in this role as a leader, as someone who takes care of other people, as someone who coaches, mentors. So it's so true. Like, the more that we're learning, the more that we can take and apply those things down the road as well, which will help us to add again to our teams, and again, help to add to our own value that we place on ourselves.
Yeah, I love that, Tiffany, because what you and I have learned over the years is that layering is the key. So I went to university to be a math major, but we'll just keep that a secret, because I quickly realized that calculus and I were not friends.
Yes.
But
Yes.
then I had to think on my feet, okay, what would be my next major? I ended up doing what they call communication sciences. That was speech pathology and audiology. And when I finished, I was grateful for the knowledge, but I didn't want to stay along that track. And so I went into dentistry. Well, today, some of what I learned from speech pathology, I use almost every day in dentistry, believe it or not. And I know colleagues who may have had another career. I know one who was an artist, a painter, you know, and then went into dentistry, and one of the best cosmetic dentists you will ever find on the planet, understanding the nuances of color and when light hits it and all of that. So there's a way where things do not seem connected at all, but layered give a fantastic result. Yeah,
Absolutely.
love that.
Absolutely.
Love that. Hopefully your 17-year-old is listening, because
He's
you're
listening.
dropping some gems.
He's listening. He'll never admit it, but he's listening.
Yes, that part right there. Never admit it.
We'll come back around when he's 25 and tell me.
Yes. Yeah, you know, Mom, those things, I did hear what you were saying.
Yes.
So, Tiffany, is there one thing that is key to understanding your value?
I think that if I had to give one key, because I think there are several, but I'm going to give one that's probably a little different and off the beaten path.
Yeah.
And that's gratitude. I think far too often we pick ourselves apart. We look at all the things that we think are wrong or that are not good about ourselves. We focus so much on what we perceive as negative about ourselves. And we don't take enough time to be grateful for the fact that we're here, number one, and that we get new days every day, new mercies, new second chances to do great things and to contribute. But being thankful for all kinds of things about ourselves, our personalities, our silly senses of humor, our ability to do math or not, our ability to speak or not. But just being grateful. I think when you're grateful, I think that is really at the root of assigning value. Mm-hmm. Once you can get past all of the foolishness that you think about yourself, all the negative, and really just slow down and be thankful that you're here and thankful for how you're wired and thankful for your unique design. I think that is really at the root of really starting to develop a value that you place on yourself, a worth, a merit, and an importance, because being grateful, I think, is really just the root of a lot of things that are great in our lives.
Yeah, and I think that is a particularly important point, because you and I didn't have the experience of seeing everybody doing wonderful, fantastic things, same age of us as us, and they're progressing, and we're comparing where we are to where they are. And it may not even be true that they are where they are, but
that's right.
Constant race to compare and to not feel as if you're good enough because you're comparing yourself to sometimes very unreasonable, made up circumstances. So I fully appreciate and underscore what you've said about pulling back, looking at self, recognizing that what you bring to the world is unique, different, special, and needed. There's something that each person brings that nobody else can bring it like that.
Yes.
So, one of the things that I also learned is that even if we have 5 people doing the same thing, it's still not a competition, because each person has a different style, and there's somebody out there who likes 1 out of the 5 better than any other else, and you were designed for that one person and others like them. And there's somebody out there who does it totally different, and they have their peeps. So I fully embrace what you're saying about being grateful for the way you're wired and what you bring. And Tiffany, what I think too is a danger is when you do something really well, sometimes you minimize it. You don't even realize that, wow, this is something that I do better than most people. We tend to minimize what we do well, and we're yearning to do what others may do well. So just regrouping and looking within and being grateful for how we're wired.
Absolutely.
Is key.
And in full transparency, what you just said is something that I have really experienced over the last year or two, is really understanding that there are things that I do very well, and because they're just easy for me, I have been minimizing them. And I get in groups and circles where people need what I have, and it's exciting to be able to help. It's exciting to be able to share that with people, because you make what's extraordinary ordinary, because to you it's something that you live with every single day. And so I am learning myself to be grateful. This is a lesson that I've been teaching myself, to be grateful for the things I can do well and do with ease, and the ways that I can uniquely help other people, and even the way that my brain is wired and the way I think. I've been even thankful for that, because we're all wired differently. And I know that the way I see a thing can be helpful to a group, and the way that someone else sees a thing can also be helpful. There are 8 billion of us roaming this planet.
That's right.
And so there is plenty enough good stuff to go around that we can share, and that we can, like you said, help a specific group of people that are just our people. There's never a shortage. And so we really don't have to compete.
Exactly. So, you know what came to mind as you were speaking? That as a team member, if you see somebody shining in a particular way, bring it to their attention, because they may not even have thought twice about it. Just think how much you bring to the team when somebody feels, oh, she values that or he values that about, I didn't even think about that. Could be penmanship. It could be the way you interact with patients. It could be the way you're any number of things. But as you say, we're all fearfully and wonderfully made, specifically with specific sets of talents. And if we could recognize that and be comfortable and confident and stand in that, oh my goodness, what a difference it would make.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And when you do acknowledge other people's gifts and their strengths, it makes them want to do more. It makes them want to contribute more.
Yes.
And it doesn't cost you anything to say, that was fantastic. Or, you know, the way you do that, I want you to show me more of that because I don't do that as well. And I could sit and learn from you. Those types of things, they just really help. And even physiologically, when we do kind things for people or say nice things to people, our brain rewards us for that. And so there's a benefit. Like you said, win, win, win. There's a win, win, win for cheering on your teammates and celebrating them. That's just so true.
Yep. We are on the same wavelength. Listen, is there a quote that you'd like to share with this? Because as I come to the end of the podcast, I always want to leave my team, my peeps, my audience with something. So, Tiffany, can you share a quote that is close to your heart that you think would just land it today?
Absolutely. I'm going to read it here because I don't want to mess it up.
That's okay.
My quote is, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And that's Wayne Dyer. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And that includes the way you look at yourself.
True. Love it. Very appropriate. Listen, this has been so refreshing. We think so similarly. It's like, and I think we've been building ourselves.
Yes.
Layering for whoever needs to hear this, whoever needs these points to land so that they can shine. Tiffany, if my guests wanted to reach out to you or connect with you, where would we be able to find you?
You can reach out to me on Instagram. That's probably the best place to find me. And I'm at Tiffany D. Santana on Instagram.
And remind us of what you do again.
I am a transformational confidence for purpose coach and speaker, as well as executive director of Bethany House of Northern Virginia in the U.S., right outside the nation's capital, Washington, D.C.
Awesome. You have to promise me one thing before
Okay.
I let you go today. Ready?
I'm ready.
That you will come back again and share some more nuggets with us at a later date.
I would be honored to, and I'm so glad that you had me here today.
Oh, it was our pleasure. Right, guys? I can hear them saying yes, yes, yes. Wasn't Tiffany something today? I've known her for some time, but she dropped some gems today. Build a barrier that cannot be penetrated around your merit, worth, and importance. And how about this? Be old, stay old. That is an acronym for observe your environment, listen to your teammates, and do take action where you can provide value. Now shift from competition to collaboration. Oh yes, in a totally different gear, because you know what? We need to be focusing on self-improvement, and the benefits keep us on the grow. And as long as we're on the grow, we're going to keep improving our value for us to benefit and for those around us to benefit from. And last of all, we need to take time to be grateful for how we're wired. Each of us is so unique. There is no one on the planet just like you. So let's embrace who we are. Let us recognize that there are things that we have that we take for granted, that we do so well we don't even think about it, that other people yearn for. And remember what Wayne Dyer says? When you change the way you look at a thing, the thing you look at changes. I'm done. There is just nothing more I can say to add value, except life is so good when we live, learn, and grow together. Remember, if you haven't, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Share, like it. Find us on Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify, wherever. Okay? See you the next time. Blessings.